Hey, thanks for joining us. This is Calling All Cupids, where you play matchmaker. We all have those friends and relatives who have been on and off the dating apps with no luck. We're Sue and Tamar, and we're trying something different. We're not matchmakers, although Tamar did set me up with my husband.
Every episode, we present someone looking for love, a love seeker. We chat with them and those close to them. This is where you come in. You're our Cupids. If you have someone you know who is a catch and you think would be a good fit for our love seeker, reach out and let's see if we can make a love connection.
Hey, Sue.
Hey, Tamar. What's going on?
How are you? Oh, nothing much. I'm excited for today's podcast. We're veering a little from our norm.
We are. Look at us, exploring new possibilities.
Yeah, we're interviewing Danielle, who is a successful matchmaker in the Philadelphia area. And it was interesting because we got this little flurry of activity all from Philly one day. And we asked people how they had heard about us. And I guess Danielle had sent out information about the podcast in her newsletter.
Which was very nice, really, and helpful.
Super nice. And so we reached out to her and decided to just interview her and hear about what she's doing, what the state of dating is, the value of matchmakers, how she approaches stuff. It was, I think, really valuable for us, but I think what we discussed is also valuable for anybody out there who's interested in potentially using a matchmaker, in particular if they're Jewish and or LGBT and LGBT or just Jewish in the Philly area, because that's her specialty.
Right. Very niche, very specific. She works with, she has two different organizations. One is an LGBT plus, and the other is for single people who are in their 20s and 30s and Jewish in Philadelphia.
Let's hear from Danielle.
It's so nice to see you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How have you both been?
Good.
Good. So I understand that you're a matchmaker. And I really would like to have a better understanding of what that means and how you got into that.
Yeah, for sure. So I will preface with saying that, if you've met one matchmaker, you've met one matchmaker. There are so many different models and ways that matchmakers work. So I'll tell you how I work, and then I'm also happy to share some other ways people do work. So I work primarily with two populations. I work with LGBTQ Jewish people nationwide, really worldwide, through an organization called Little Gay Book. And then I work with specifically Jewish 20s and 30s in Philadelphia, very niche, for an organization called Tribe 12. And I've been doing this work for about a decade. I actually got into it from the world of academia. I got my master's in Jewish studies at Gratz College, and I did my master's thesis on matchmaking and sort of the history of it in Jewish communities for millennia, and then sort of what modern applications now look like.
So what do modern applications now look like?
Yeah, so my work is what a term that my friends and I made up called community matchmaking, which means that it's matchmaking as part of a bigger system of looking at how people need to be in community, right? So a way of addressing the loneliness epidemic and strengthening social fabric, and thinking of finding your person as just one thing, one need that people have, along with other social and communal needs that they have. And other matchmakers work usually one-on-one with just a few people, super dedicated. My model sort of flips that on its head. I have 500 active singles at any given time that I'm working with. So I'm working with them on a much less close individual level, but trying to get them all together and all meet each other.
So you do a lot in community. So meaning that you have events where they're coming together for things. And is that because you feel like it's less pressure? Is that what building community? You said that. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. So I do events. I do roughly 30 a year here in Philadelphia, original events, whether it's like a Shabbat dinner or a happy hour or something super creative. Recently, we did like a pasta making class. And the reason why I like events is because I think that they are just organic places where people can meet in a low pressure way. I think sometimes with matchmaking, someone may overanalyze someone that you're matching them with or really look for reasons to say no in the matchmaking process. At events, you're just more open. You're meeting other, 4D human beings who have flaws and things, or somebody you might swipe past online, but you in person would have a real conversation with and suddenly realize you have things in common. So I just think events remove a barrier and are really much easier to find success from.
It's really interesting. It seems like it takes a lot of the pressure away and people can just be more organic. And then if they like someone, it becomes on them to sort of take it to the next level. Is that what happens?
So it depends on the event. I actually sometimes will facilitate what I call misconnections. So that would be if somebody's at an event and spots somebody or speaks to somebody that they like, afterwards I'll follow up with that other person and say, hey, this person mentioned you. Would you like to be connected? And of course, then they consent or not consent to that. But looking for ways to connect people in that way.
And how do you judge success? How do you measure success in this business?
Yeah. So other matchmakers have their own ways. For me, I'm just an opportunity maker, right? I have no control over anybody, any outcome. Anything can happen. So it's really just measuring how many opportunities can I make for people that they wouldn't have had otherwise? How can I make dating experiences that are fun and low pressure and safe and that people wouldn't have had access to without my work?
What do you think are the biggest indicators of whether people will be a good fit for one another?
So I think it's funny, like when I have intake conversations with people for matchmaking, they all kind of say that they're looking for the same things, right? Like everyone says smart, everyone says funny, everyone says passionate about something. I hear that all the time. So it's really about digging deeper into what is behind those preferences and what they really mean by them in order to make a good match. So, like, just to give an example, if somebody says that they want someone smart, they might mean that they want someone like really academic and cerebral, or they might mean that they want someone who's like street smart or something like that, or someone witty, right, with good banter. Or they might want someone with a certain degree, like a certain level of education, but they don't want to say that out loud. So it's like, what's behind the things that you really want? And once you can sort of understand that, and even dig a layer below it, right? If you want someone who has a good career, is it because you value people who care about their career? Or is it because you want certain financial status? Or is it because you grew up without strong finances and it's something that you want to feel stable and that creates stability for you? So it's like layer upon layer of actually finding out what people really want and why.
I think that is really, really good advice. Because you're right. People do a lot of times say, like, what we hear a lot is curious. I want somebody curious.
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody funny. But you're right. There's like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, what's behind it. And it even happens, sometimes people make assumptions about other people that make them miss them. So like a good example of this is like travel, right? Someone who's a big traveler might want another big traveler. But when you think about it, someone who was a big traveler, maybe that's in somebody's past, right? And they feel like they've been there, done that. They don't want to travel anymore. They would be a bad fit for somebody who wants to do a lot of traveling. Whereas someone who's never traveled before, but like just got a passport, is really excited, wants to get out in the world, they're a better fit for that big traveler, even though they've never traveled. So it's about like unpacking these things and understanding what's really behind it.
What are you hearing from people about the challenges right now in the dating world? I have two young adult children, and so I see it through their eyes a little bit. What are you experiencing?
I'd be curious what they have reported to you, actually, and then I can add to it.
You know, they both seem very healthy in relationships and both pretty successful. Neither has found their person yet, but they've both had serious relationships and they seem like they're good in those relationships. They both do the apps.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my daughter is finding that like a lot of, I don't know, there's like a lot of ghosting. Like
Yes.
somebody will be all in, really, really in for days, and they'll meet and they'll go on dates, and then like out of the blue, it's like they're done. And there's no conversation. There's no, and even if she's done too, like she still just wants to have a conversation. And it
Yeah.
seems like the capacity, even, and that happens to my son too. Like the whole ghosting thing for me is surreal.
Yes, it is a scourge. I have a very strict no ghosting policy in my program in Philadelphia, so that you must close the loop with somebody directly before you can ever get matched again. And it's for this reason. What's interesting, of course, is that when I say that policy out loud to people, every single person goes, I would never do that. I'm like, well,
Right.
hold on a second, because everybody seems to be so
There's a reason I have this policy, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So like everyone feels like they would never be that person. I think what happens in the moment is they think, oh, it's understood, it's implied, or we have a shared understanding. And that's not true at all. You have to actually use words to express it. I've even provided people with like templates for like lightly rejecting somebody and not ghosting them. So some of it is not having the tools to do it correctly, and some of it is also just bad behavior. Apps are like one tool in the dating toolkit right now, right? They work sometimes. I think that they more like happen to work than are designed to work, right? Because the apps are actually meant to keep you subscribing and staying on. So the incentives are actually mismatched if you just think of it from like a business perspective. I think that the true root of what's going on with apps is that it's an isolating process to be on the apps. You're dealing with constant rejection. You're dealing with spending tons of time. Some people have called it to me like another part-time job, right? And you're putting tons of time into something that almost never actually materializes. You have to get from swipe to conversation to date. It's a lot of steps. And I think it's exacerbating what people already feel, which is loneliness and isolation, right? You're sitting in a dark room swiping, and that is just like the epitome of how society is feeling for some people right now. And I think the antidote is getting in person, right? That's why I think events are so special and why community is so important. The antidote is finding the other single people to go to things with, right? Finding friendships first and then looking for relationships second.
So how do you find your people? Where are you finding the singles, and how hard is that to get people to show up for events, or how easy is it, or
Yeah, so it's truly word of mouth. I've never really advertised, of course I'll do a couple like social media posts here and there, but I've never put any marketing like energy behind this. The way I started it was almost like an experiment. I had done my master's thesis, and I had realized that there was a gap between what the Orthodox Jewish community has in regards to matchmaking, which is a lot of like structure and purpose, and what secular or culturally Jewish folks have. And so I took kind of like the 12 most eligible single people I know, and I said, can I try this experiment of like adding matchmaking into my work and helping match you? And then those people each kind of like recommended another person, and those people recommended another person, and it just grows and grows and grows. So it's very organic. Of course, I also hear from mothers and grandmothers. That's a big pipeline into my work for sure. And it just keeps growing. Most of my events sell out. Like I think that there's a real interest and need for this kind of social experiences that are low pressure but could lead to you finding the love of your life. I think that's appealing to people these days.
How do you encourage people to give somebody a chance? Like,
Mhm.
I find that people can be really picky, and we've had a few cases where we thought somebody pretty good was interested in one of our love seekers, and the love seeker was like, yeah, no, not even based on a photo or based on what. Do you have how do you encourage people to give people a shot? And also, do you have any stories of somebody that was like hesitant and that it worked out?
Yes, I have so many stories. I'll tell one. I'll answer the question first, which is so, and it's a little controversial in the matchmaking world. Matchmaking that I do is all blind. So what that means is that people are being introduced blind to each other. From there, they become two adults with each other's contact information. So they can choose to send each other photos, to FaceTime, to send their Instagrams to each other. Fine by me. But my part of it is blind. And I encourage the blindness to even continue to the date. That's my recommendation. My parents met on a blind date. I really believe in that because I think that when you're in the room with a person, there's nothing that compares to that experience. It's so pale compared, a photo is so pale compared to actually being in real life with somebody. And the reason why I encourage that is because of all these stories of people who absolutely would have rejected somebody from a photo or from a description. My favorite of this is that there was a woman who I asked her like what her top 3 deal breakers are. And she said he needs to be tall, he needs to have hair, and he needs to have a job. Which, like, fine, you can have those deal breakers. I don't mind. But the person she ended up marrying is very short, bald, and at the time when they started dating was between jobs. He has a career now.
It's
You know?
hysterical.
And she's so happy and they have 2 kids. Like, everything's great. But she would have absolutely rejected that man.
Height thing is
on spec.
crazy, man. That height thing is
Yes.
It's making me think, Sue, that maybe we need to have a stipulation that if we find somebody for somebody, we will not tell them anything about the person. They have to give them a shot.
That's an experiment worth trying. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll try it. What do you want our listeners to know about you? Do you have a little plug for your own? I mean, you shared a little what you do, but is there anything else you want to share to plug your own work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for more LGBTQ Jewish clients. So I work with them one-on-one, and I really enjoy and am gratified by that work. And I think it's important to have Jewish and queer dating spaces where both things are safe identities to hold at the same time. I think that's a little rare. So I'm happy to be a person that can be part of that. And like a general plug, just for listeners to know, is that I don't think people realize that anybody can join the free database of any matchmaker. If you fill out a profile on a matchmaker's website, that just means that you are now in the pool to be considered as a match for their clients. So like if I'm giving advice to somebody, I'm like, get on every single matchmaker's database list. There's no reason not to. It's free and you might be called up for a match. So that's just like a little tip.
Is there anything we didn't ask you that you think we should?
I can tell like a little story, one of my favorite success stories.
Yes, please.
So, well, you'll see why it's my favorite. So I had a friend in college, a man, actually one of my first friends, somebody that I met. I went to University of Connecticut, very state college energy or pet energy. And after college, I sort of like bullied him into moving to Philadelphia. I was like, just come here, hang out with me. You'll make a life here. Concurrently, my mom's friend's daughter was moving to Philadelphia for nursing school. And I got introduced to her and I said, come around to my events, I'll introduce you to some people. And so I went to just one of my normal happy hours and my friend from college was already there. At the door, I met this girl who I had never met before. And I said, let me introduce you to some friends. I introduced her to a table. Here's so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, one of whom was my college friend. And the next time I saw her was when she was walking down the aisle at her wedding.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that was a beautiful match. But what's really special about that, it's special enough already. But when I looked at the, front of the wedding where the groomsmen were standing, the 3 groomsmen were also people that he had met through the community that I.
No kidding.
Yeah. So not only did he have a beautiful wife, he also had great friendships and people to share these great things with throughout life.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. You're doing great work.
Thank you. You as well. I really enjoyed the podcast.
Oh, this was so much fun. I love what you're doing.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Thanks, guys.
So that was our interview with Danielle. And if you are in the Philly area, if you're Jewish and LGBT, reach out to Danielle. She may be able to help you, or reach out to us and we may be able to help you. Till next time.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. If you or someone you know is looking for love, reach out. Maybe you'll be the one to shoot that Cupid's arrow. We present new love seekers every episode. So subscribe to our podcast, Calling All Cupids, and help us grow the love by leaving a review.
Our website is called callingallcupids.com. You can also connect with us on social media. Check us out and help us spread the love.